Hello, everybody, and welcome to Daily with Doc. Let's go ahead and open up that Zoom room here. Let everybody in from the waiting room. Hello, 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 everybody who's coming in and joining us live. And if you are watching one of the replays or the live streams, we are live Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And it's super easy. All you have to do is go to dailywithdoczoom.com, and that will forward you right into the waiting room for our Daily with Doc show. My name is Becca Dukes, and as the hostess of this program, also the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health, and a trainer and somebody just who loves to love on people and let them be able to feel the difference. That when you give your body what it absolutely needs, not just to barely survive, and eating good isn't enough, but when you give your body what it needs to thrive, the body itself can do some amazing things. Now, this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor are the products or anything mentioned meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease. But folks, like I just said, when you give the body what it needs, the body itself can do some amazing things. We do recommend that if you are under the care of a physician, that you work with your physician and allow them to see the power that nutrition can really do, and helping you reach those health goals rather than maintain poor health where you're just getting by. Well, today we have kind of a special little treat. We're going to do things a little bit different, as Dr. Wallach has a brand new presentation that we have been working on that he will be presenting on Saturday. Today is going to be a dry run of that presentation. So, Doc, are you ready?
Ma'am,
Because
I'm always ready.
all right, because in this presentation, it's going to give an introduction of the doctor that we have on with us, who is absolutely amazing, has done so much in his short lifetime. And the fact that he has come up against some obstacles and he still keeps on kicking is to our benefit, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Doc on screen with me. So, Doc, before we go, you want to say hello or say anything or ask any questions?
No, I just want to thank you and your team for, I know you've been putting in a lot of hours and effort and sweat, and so I cannot thank you and your team enough for doing that. And thank everybody for coming in on a Thursday. But this is going to be presented on Saturday to a multinational audience. And so it's a multinational presentation.
Yes, but today you guys get to see the English version. I also have it translated into Spanish that's going to be shown on and given on Saturday. So let's get started, Dr. Wallach. And
Okay.
folks, if we do have time towards the end of the show and you'd like to ask a question, you can raise your hand and we will get to questions if we have time allowed. If you are here live with us in the Zoom room, make sure that you have that chat open, because information is shared in that chat. Marilyn does such a great job of dictation and putting that in the black and white for us to read, that you can then take a screenshot of or snap a shot with your camera, however you want to capture information that you can then take to your health coach and say, this sounds like something that I need. Can you help me get it? Now, this is a resource for an amazing group of health coaches and health advocates and individuals that just want to help their communities find a better journey in their health. So if somebody's invited you, make sure that you get back with them. They cared enough to invite you to this show, and we want to make sure that you get back to them and tell them thank you. So without further ado, folks, I'm going to do a screen share and we are going to get started on, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
we're going to record too, Dot.
Recording in progress.
All right. Now we're going to do a screen share, folks, and get started on today's program. I am honored to be able to present to you Let's Talk Nutrition Nutritional Keys to Health with Dr. Joel Wallach. Dr. Wallach, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Becca. And of course, nutrition is the gasoline, the oil, and the grease that you put in your car. And so human beings have the same needs. And if you just eat sugar, okay, or desserts, you're not going to do very well. You need the whole package. And so this is kind of an introduction to that package. And I'm assuming everybody can read this.
Oh, they can read it, Dr. Wallach, but I want to go just to give kind of a brief little introduction as to what this says. So Dr. Wallach does have a Bachelor of Science. He has a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, he has 3 postdoctorates in pathology, and he's a naturopathic physician. He's a biomedical research pioneer. He spent more than 40 years in the field of veterinary medicine, observing and researching the effects of individual nutrients on animal health before becoming a naturopathic physician in 1982. He's renowned for his great groundbreaking research on the health benefits of selenium and other minerals. He currently dedicates his time to lecturing throughout the world on the therapeutic benefits of vitamins and minerals and on lobbying the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on behalf of the dietary supplement industry. He is a recipient of the 2011 Klaus Schwartz Award for discovering the cause, prevention, and cure of cystic fibrosis. 2015, he received the Lifetime Achievement on Natural Medicine and Philanthropy at the 3rd Annual Global Officials of Dignity Awards from the United Nations. His mission is to initiate a crusade and establish an army of soldiers to take back the health of the world and defund the medical model of sick management. So, Dr. Wallach, tell us a little bit about why you were fired.
Okay, well, when I discovered the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis, initially, the Yerkes Primate Center staff was very excited. And then when I asked them if I could get biopsies of the other baby monkeys that came from other parents, they said, sure, go ahead. And they all had cystic fibrosis, supposed to be a genetic birth defect in humans. I got it written up. And, according to the rules, I had to submit it to the staff before sending it for publication. When I sent them a rough of that presentation, they terminated my position. They said, you got 24 hours, Wallach, get your stuff and get out of here. Because they thought I was either sniffing glue or crazy or something. And they couldn't believe that I had found that cystic fibrosis was supposed to be the most terrible birth defect in human babies, that was just simply a nutritional deficiency. And so they fired me. And so my wife had just died. I had a child was very sick, who eventually passed away also. And then I had I found a job, okay, introducing products to various communities, okay. And so I said, I should do something more with this. And so I decided to go to the naturopathic college and become a naturopathic doctor. Graduated in 1982. And that's how I got into this. As opposed to being just a pathologist, I became a primary care physician for humans and animals.
Awesome, Dr. Wallach. Thank you for that. And tell us a little bit about your lovely wife, Dr. Malan.
Okay, well, Dr. Malan, she helped me in the earlier stages of the studying of this disease, Keyshan disease. And Keyshan disease is cystic fibrosis. It occurs in China, in Qishan province. And so they named it. It was primarily there, nowhere else in China, because it was deficient in the nutrients necessary to prevent and cure the disease. So at any rate, we went there. We did autopsies on 1,700 kids under the age of 5. And it was just remarkable. We did all the biochemistries, all the microbiology, all of the slides, and it was just perfect. And this is why I got those awards from the United Nations, was that study. It was just so which is impelling. And it was published, I think, in 3 ways. And of course, our attorney, Jonathan Emord, which we'll talk about in a minute, but he helped me get that information. We've sued the FDA 8 times in federal court. We prevailed. We were able to then to get all these nutrients into formulas that we could give to human babies in the United States.
Well, and one thing that I have noticed, Dr. Wallach, is Dr. Ma Lan is a co-author on many of your books. And I just wanted to go through her little short biography here so people get an understanding of her background and how it gives her more authority, for lack of a better word, on being able to write and be a co-writer and author of the books that you have published.
Oh, she definitely had more authority than I had, because she had all these degrees.
Yeah, so Dr. Malan gained her medical degree from Beijing Medical University. She was a staff surgeon at the Canton Air Force Hospital. As a lieutenant in the Chinese Air Force, received her Master's of Science in Transplant Immunology from, help me out here, Doc, Zhongshan Medical University in Canton, People's Republic of China. She was also trained in traditional Chinese medicine, like acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, physical manipulation, massage, hydrotherapy. Her research credits include an exchange scholar as the Harvard School of Medicine, Boston microsurgery, a research fellow in laser microsurgery at the St. Joseph's Hospital in Houston, Department of Orthopedic Microsurgery at the Medical College of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and Department of Pharmacology, the University of California in San Diego. Yeah, so she brings a lot to the table, Doc.
Oh yeah, she brought a lot to the table, and as we met actually in a restaurant, having dinner at the same time.
That's fantastic. And here we have a picture of you and Dr. Malan together. And you mentioned how you had traveled to Qishan, China, and performed the 1,700 autopsies on children under the age of 10 and examined them. And there was a lot of things that you learned from that research, didn't you, Doc?
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you notice how tall Malan is. She actually played professional basketball in China also for a couple of years.
Yeah, so she played basketball at the college level, university. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't like to brag on herself, which she's very humble. And then there's this book, Dr. Wallach. Tell us about this book.
Okay. Well, The Diseases of Exotic Animals was a $12 million grant that the director of the St. Louis Zoo, Marlon Perkins, got. I was actually working for him. I was in South Africa working on the White Rhino Project, which the book Rhino Express came out of. And he got this $12 million grant based on some of my papers I had written and so forth. And so he called me back and he gave me this list. And he said, okay, Wallach, I need you to solve these 10 problems here before we get into this project for the $12 million. The first one was the problem in bears in the zoos around the world. In every zoo in the world that had bears, a significant portion of the bears, maybe 30 to 50%, some 75% of the bears all had liver cancer. Now, he said, you got to find out why they're all getting liver cancer and how we can stop it. Well, when all the different bears, all species, brown bears, black bears, Kodiak bears, grizzly bears, polar bears, they're all getting liver cancer, and they all come from all these zoos all over the world. There had to be some common thread. Well, the common thread was all the zoos were selling peanuts to the general public to get money, and they would the public would throw the peanuts to the bears. The bears learned to stand on their hind legs and wave their front legs to say, "Hey, throw the peanuts to me." And the ones that got the most peanuts got the liver cancer because peanuts grow in the ground, and they were contaminated with a fungus called Aspergillus flavus, which produced an aflatoxin, which produced liver cancer. We switched them over to crumbled dry dog food instead of peanuts as a treat. And within a couple of months, there were no more new cases of liver cancer in the bears around the world. Okay. And secondly, let's see here. The second one was the complaint about the dolphins, the porpoises, and the whales in the large aquariums around the world, where they would sell seats for people to watch these sea animals go through hoops and dance and all that kind of stuff. They were all getting congestive heart failure and dying. Well, I checked it out, and it only took 3 days to figure that one out. They were all getting the same fish to eat, and the fish had a substance in their tissues, okay, called thiominase. There's an enzyme called thiominase, which dissolves thiamine. Thiamine is B1, and B1 deficiency causes congestive heart failure. So we changed the fish that they were eating and gave them a product which we named, let's see here, what is it? Just
De-stress.
De-stress. There you go. You got it. De-stress. De-stress. And it's our very, very high dose of vitamin B1 thiamine. And we made that for those dolphins and porpoises and whales. They don't have the problem anymore because they put that in with their vitamins and minerals. They put the de-stress capsules in there. And so we eliminated that problem. And so Perkins got the idea that I kind of knew what I was dealing with here, because all the best scientists in the world couldn't figure out why all these porpoises and whales and dolphins were getting congestive heart failure and why all the bears were getting liver cancer. It was just simply, what they were eating, and we had to change it to something more normal and more nutritional and safer, and it worked.
That's fantastic, Doc.
So
And that was
this is the basis of that book. And a $25 million grant. Those books sold initially for $25,000 each. And we sold, I think it was kind of like 5,000 copies.
well, and you had mentioned that initially it started out as a $12,000 grant. And then by the time everything was done, with everything being added on with the research that you had continued, it accumulated to around 25,000 is what I've read. So that's quite a bit. And that was quite some time ago. So probably worth a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
So how about this lifetime achievement on natural medicine and philanthropy?
Philanthropy. Okay. Well, that's one of those blessings that I got for all the stuff we just talked about. And so I was given this award. Okay. Which I say is just a blessing. I was so very, very blessed and proud to get the award, but it gives you credibility. And of course, it was given to me at the United Nations by this group that was sort of an organization within the United Nations. And so I was very, very proud of that recognition.
Yeah, so that was given to you by the Global Officials of Dignity, it was through the Global Officials of Dignity Awards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's absolutely fantastic, by a group called We Care for Humanity. So I love the fact that there are groups out there, Dr. Wallach, that are acknowledging people for the things that they do. And here's one more recognition that was long overdue, Dr. Wallach, and that was in 2011, the Klaus Schwartz Commemorative Medal. So you mentioned a little bit about your research that came up to this, and it had to do with selenium. Is that correct?
That is correct. And of course, I did quite a bit of research on selenium, and of course that helped with the liver cancer in the bears and so forth. That was a part of that. You're deficient in selenium, you're prone to get so many different diseases, including liver disease. You can get cancer, and so on. And you get white muscle disease in sheep and pigs and cattle, which is muscular dystrophy in humans. So I found the cause, prevention, and cure for cystic fibrosis. I found the cause, prevention, and cure for muscular dystrophy. Then I found the cause and prevention of sudden death syndrome, SIDS. Once they're dead, I couldn't bring them back alive, but I could prevent it. And SIDS, the medical profession thought that the mothers were laying on the babies and suffocating them. And so I had done so many autopsies prior to that, okay, on little kids that died of SIDS. I knew what it was. It was just a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart attack caused by a selenium deficiency. And so this is why we did with John Demore and I, we did the 8 lawsuits against the federal courts, okay, so that we could put selenium into the baby formulas. The medical system didn't want to put any vitamins and minerals into milk formulas. Just use milk, they said. And then when the babies would die of sudden death syndrome, they said, oh, the mothers were laying on the babies. Okay. No, they were dying because they didn't have the selenium in the milk. Okay, so we knew this. So I started giving kids that were that had muscular dystrophy, I started giving them kind of like the alfalfa pellets that we were feeding calves with the selenium added to it to prevent white muscle disease, aka muscular dystrophy. And lo and behold, we stopped muscular dystrophy in humans by putting the selenium into the baby formulas. And we prevailed 8 times in federal court. And so that was quite the thing. And so that's what that Klaus Schwartz Award was for.
Well, and we're getting to that where we're actually going to show some of actually all of the court cases. So, Dr. Wallach, conventional doctors.
Well, they have a place. Their place is in emergency surgeries and things of that nature. You get in a car wreck and you have 6 broken bones and stuff. You need to put in plates or pins or something, cast. This is where the medical system shines. They do this for the industry and the military. They do it in all kinds of sports. They do it because you're kind of aging and you got osteoporosis of the skull. You have a balance problem. You fall down the stairs and break your hip. They can replace your hip. They can put a pin in there. Okay, that's what doctors are good at. When it comes to things like cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, they don't get any training in these things. So they have no earthly idea. And so they always blame it on genetics. Oh, it's a genetic thing. And that's sort of the fallback place for them.
So then when it comes to nutrition.
When it comes to nutrition, doctors don't get trained in nutrition. They just say, eat well. This is America. We have the best food in the world. Just eat well. Well, that's not true because plants only need 3 minerals. We need 60. Plants do not.
Well, let's talk about that, Doc. You're getting ahead of us here.
Oh.
So the nutritional keys to health. The first question, why the 90?
Well, human beings and all mammals require 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids to max out our longevity and to be able to have healthy babies. Okay, we maximize their lifespan, maximize the quality of their life with the 90 essential nutrients. That's where the Mighty 90 concept came from. Plants only need 3 minerals because they can make most of the other stuff from the sunshine and the 3 things they get out of the soil.
So, Dr. Wallach, a lot of times, if it's not genetic, oops, went the wrong way. If it's not genetic, they just say they don't know what it is. And what's that called?
What's they call when they don't know?
When they don't know.
Oh, it's idiopathic.
So, idiopathic, characterized by disease arising primarily and not in coincidence of some other disease or energy or injury, but designating a disease having no known cause.
That's
So
correct.
if there's no known cause and you've got hundreds of idiopathic diseases, and there's over 600 diseases linked to nutritional deficiencies, you had just mentioned how they're not trained in nutrition. Do you think maybe there's a coincidence?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very obvious when you're on the outside looking in. And it's one of those things where they're taught that you're the best food in the world. And so just tell your patients, just eat well, you get everything you need. You know, every once in a while there's a flu going through, we'll give you some more vitamin C or something like that. We do have prenatal vitamins for young girls that are pregnant. But, women were having healthy babies long before they knew what caused birth defects. Okay. And in some places, like Hunza in the Himalayan mountains, they live to be 120 and they have almost no birth defects. They have no doctors. They have no medical doctors. But they do have all these glaciers grinding up the minerals in the mountains coming down in the water. Okay. And it's called glacial milk because these streams, it looks like milk because of all the plant minerals in like a dust in suspension in this water coming down. And they live to be 120 on the average. We live to be 74 to 75, depending on whose numbers you're looking at. And in Europe, one gal, Jean Kelment, she in 1997, she died at age 122 and 164 days. Okay. She was from France. Okay. And so this is where we're at. Okay. But everybody has potential to live to be well beyond 120. Everybody has the capacity. If you want to live to be beyond 120, you better be taking your 90 essential nutrients, staying away from the bad stuff so you can maximize absorption.
All right. So there's a common saying that is said to be said by Linus Pauling, saying you can trace every sickness, every disease, every ailment to a mineral deficiency. And you were just talking about the Hunzas and living in an area that is very fertile with minerals, where they have little to no disease. I think his saying, where you can trace every sickness and every disease and every ailment to a mineral deficiency, goes right along with what you've been saying.
Yeah, well, there's some vitamin deficiencies, like scurvy, vitamin C deficiency, and that kind of stuff. But I think most people, even if they didn't know what they were doing, if they eat a tomato, if they eat some lettuce, if they eat an orange, when they began to give these transoceanic vessels that were bringing people and goods around the world, when they put oranges and lemons on those ships, they stopped scurvy. The crew were dying by the hundreds every season. But once they started giving them, in addition to the regular meals, they would give them the oranges and lemons. It stopped the scurvy because of the vitamin C in the juice.
But it takes more than just vitamin C or vitamin D.
That's
You
correct.
found it takes 90
90.
essential. What
It
are
ta-
those nine? What's the breakdown of those 90 essential
well, you,
nutrients?
you got it up on the screen. There's 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 fatty acids. That's the categories. Okay. And so this is all of these things have been investigated in the um, sciences of with laboratory rats and rabbits and sheep and pigs and monkeys and so forth. So we know a lot about each of these nutrients. And just the medical system in America has a naive belief that because we're America and we have so much money, we got the best doctors in the world, you just eat right, you're going to get everything you need. Well, that's not even close. That's not possible.
No, it's not. And what does it mean by essential, Dr. Wallach?
Essential means it's necessary for a good quality of life and a long, healthy life.
And can our body make most or many or all of those essential nutrients?
Can our body make them? No.
So we have to take them in with our food, with
You
our
must you must
goat.
consume them every day.
All right. Now let's talk about cholesterol. I know that's one of your favorite subjects to talk about.
Yep. Well, cholesterol is one of my favorites because it's the basic um, material for making sex hormones. For male sex hormones, testosterone; for female sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, okay, require cholesterol. Okay. And so that's why we have so many great products. We got the Zera test for males to have stuff in there that are required to make use with cholesterol. You make the male hormones. Then we got the Zerafem for females, and again, it's the stuff in there that gives the ovaries what they need to make the estrogen. Okay, and so we've come up with all these things to make it easy for the average person out there, and you don't need to go to a doctor and spend $500 and in a visit to be told this. And so this is why we have the books. We got 25 best-selling books out there now, including the flip chart, which we've been going through here. And we're very excited about this because people need this information. And so it's really, what they say, the medical system has to look in the mirror and say, what did we contribute to all of the problems we have in the world with health? And it's their sentences like, oh, just eat well, you get everything you need. That little sentence has killed more people than all the wars we've had in the world.
That's pretty sad, Doc. But no, what's another thing that cholesterol is very important for?
Well, there's a substance in the brain and the spinal cord and the larger nerves, like the optic nerve and the 10th cranial nerve and so forth, um, called myelin. And people have heard of demyelinating diseases. The white matter goes away and you get short circuiting and you get, diseases like Alzheimer's
Well,
disease, Parkinson's disease. You
diseases.
get,
I actually have them all listed, Doc.
huh?
I actually have all those diseases listed. So we're going to go through those,
Okay.
or many of them. So the myelin sheath is composited of cholesterol.
Yeah, cholesterol is converted by the liver and the brain into myelin. And it's just dumb luck what part of the brain and spinal cord gets afflicted when you're deficient, okay, in these substances, whether you're going to get Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, MS, multiple sclerosis, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, and I could go, there's about 25 of them that are caused by deficiencies of cholesterol. And who said cholesterol clogs your arteries and causes blocked arteries and strokes? The medical system. It was absolutely a lie. It was fried cholesterol, not cholesterol. Because when you fry cholesterol, it turns into a very abrasive chemical. okay, very abrasive chemical, and causes the arteries to have scarring in them, okay? But it's not cholesterol that does that. That's fried cholesterol. So if you fry bacon, you fry hamburgers, you fry eggs, and then you eat those fried foods, you're causing negative changes to foods that people have been eating for thousands of years, for 3,000 years.
And that's why you say no fried foods.
That's correct.
So I had those two slides messed up backwards. We'll change that. So here we go. Demyelination associated diseases. And you went through and you mentioned quite a few of them already, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah, I just mentioned the first 4 or 5 out of the list because they're very common. And of course, Parkinson's disease is very important because there are 60,000 new cases of Parkinson's disease each year in America, 60,000 new cases each year. And then about a month ago, it went up from 60,000 new cases a year to 90,000 new cases a year. Okay. Because people were again listening to doctors and staying away from cholesterol, stop eating eggs, all that kind of stuff. And so this is why we came up with the products and the programs to provide that for people who wanted to consciously, proactively supplement with the things that are going to maintain the white matter of the brain. That's why we have the I-26. I-26 is the raw materials for your brain and spinal cord and major nerves, including the optic nerves and your 10th cranial nerve, to make myelin.
All right. And then looking at we went over the conditions that the medical establishment has given. But when we look at the different symptoms, these symptoms, they actually can be some crossover with the next subject that we're going to talk about also. And that has to do with osteoporosis of the skull.
That is correct, because it's not unusual. If you're deficient in one nutrient, the odds are you're deficient in 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 20. Very few people are deficient in one nutrient, but one nutrient deficiency might be more profound. And so you see something or feel something that's begging your attention. Okay, when you might have 20 different diseases going on from demyelinization, but one of them is standing out because it was more profound at that moment.
Yes, absolutely. And then Dr. Wallach, you had mentioned Parkinson's. And we do have a case study that does involve Parkinson's and using the nutrition, not as a cure, but giving the body what it needs so the body can do what it is designed to do.
Yeah, and this gal's name is Madeline, I think.
Yep, it's Madeline.
Yeah, and she had Parkinson's disease for 11 years. She was 75 years old. She had Parkinson's disease for 11 years, and she was going in once or twice a year to her doctors and the specialists in Parkinson's disease. And, they're marking that she's gradually getting worse and worse and worse, and more symptoms are coming on. And we got her on the I-26, and in 2.5 months, everything repaired, everything was replaced with normal tissue. And it freaked all the doctors out when she went in for her regular checkup because she didn't have any signs of Parkinson's disease anymore.
Well, it was the 90 essential nutrients and this was what was recommended to her.
Yes.
The brain and heart pack, the I-26,
I-26.
And I believe she was also taking MSM as well.
Yes,
and she was
correct.
able to get great results. I love this story.
Now, she's not the only one, but she's the only one that came back to us and said, hey, let's let other people know so we can help other people. But I think right now I can safely, honestly say we've had hundreds of people with Parkinson's disease see major improvements and complete resolution of their symptoms and the disease. And do you think doctors are saying anything? No, they're keeping their mouth shut.
Yeah. So let's talk a little more about the underlying causes of osteoporosis and arthritis, Dr. Wallach.
Okay, well, osteoporosis and arthritis are simple mineral deficiency disease, whether it's of the skull, whether it's of your hip, whether it's your knees, your ankles, your shoulders, your vertebrae. We have so many cases. I mean, so many cases of arthritis and osteoporosis. And of course, Theo Ratliff, one of our great, we'll talk about him a little bit, great basketball players. He had terrible arthritis, and they wanted to give him a double knee replacement. He couldn't play basketball anymore. Anyway, he said, no, I'm going to pass on the surgery. And we put him on our program for rebuilding bones and cartilage and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue. And in 3 months' time, he went by and tried out again and got his position back in basketball. He played for 9 more years and made $100 million in contracts in 11 years because we rebuilt him with a healthy bone and joint pack. Actually, it was actually in the beginning, it was what was it? What did we call it in the beginning? Let's see.
I think
it was a healthy bone and joint pack.
Before the bone and joint pack, which I think the bone and joint pack was put together for him, but you did have the Pig Pack Plus, which is actually what I started on.
Yeah, the Pig Pack Plus was kind of a fun one, being a veterinarian. And we didn't want to get people, was not writing prescriptions for drugs for patients who were dealing with in the beginning. We were very primitive. And so we had the Pig Pack Plus, which is what we were giving pigs, okay, and what we were giving calves for white muscle disease, which also included muscular dystrophy and arthritis, okay, and it was plant-derived minerals, tangy tangerine, OsteoFX, EFA, and glucogel. We made the glucogel. There was no such thing. People were actually doing what they call bone broth for 3,000 years. In bone broth, they would simmer bones in vinegar or salt water, something like that, and they would extract the minerals out of the bones, and they would drink that, and that's where they were getting their minerals, okay, 3,000 years ago. They had a supplement called bone broth. Well, we replaced the bone broth with glucogel. It was a little cleaner, didn't stink up the house, and had no risk of fire and all that kind of stuff. And the ladies of the house could just go and buy a couple of bottles of our glucogel. They were much happier with that than having to stand over the stove and boil bones to make bone broth. So it's one of those historical steps in the company. That's one of the great products that we made from scratch.
Dr. Wallach, let's talk about the link between the neurological conditions and osteoporosis of the skull.
Okay, well, that's a good picture. The skull contains many things, including your tongue and your eyes and your brain in the first, moments of your spinal cord, 12 pairs of cranial nerves. And the spinal cord goes all the way down to your toes. It goes down to your pelvis where it splits into two. And so you have two large nerves come off of the spinal cord, okay? And this is what happens, okay, when you get osteoporosis of the skull. Each chapter in the book, Hell's Kitchen, okay, represents one of the cranial nerves. There's a CD that goes along with that book. It covers the spinal cord because there's so much in the spinal cord from the neck down. Okay.
It's your head, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah.
Well, it's all in your head is the book that goes over the cranial nerves.
That's correct. It's all in your head is the book. And it's not a big book, but each chapter represents one of the cranial nerves. I have to appreciate that the optic nerve for the eyes are very different than all the other cranial nerves because like the other cranial nerves, the optic nerves are formed in the brain, come out through the skull. But they come out, they're very heavily insulated with this myelin. Excuse me. Now, where the other cranial nerves are not that heavily covered with myelin. And this, I know you're going to show a picture of this. This is mind-boggling. Okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful picture there. You can see everything from that, where the spinal cord is coming out of the skull down, covers, I don't know, it's like 50 different diseases, 50 different diseases alone. Okay. They're caused by the skull squeezing everything from the spinal cord up.
Well, and here are some of the symptoms of neurological distress that goes on within the body, which you've mentioned a lot of these whenever you were talking about cholesterol as well.
Mhm. Yes. Well, even the smaller cranial nerves have a small layer of the um, of the um, myelin covering the nerve, but the optic nerve and the spinal cord have the most. The 10th cranial nerve is next. Okay, so myelin is so important.
And here I have listed, Dr. Wallach, the symptoms of both neurological and osteoporosis of the skull, which includes the persistence and persistent or sudden onset of headaches, headaches that change or that are changing or are differences, pain in the face, loss of feeling or tingling, loss of sight or double vision. You were
Stop
just
there,
mentioning
stop there, stop there
eyes.
a minute. Stop there a minute, because tingling, tinnitus, ringing in the ears is one of the first things that people feel when they have things are going on for a while. They don't feel those yet, but they've been going on. But the tingling in the ears, tinnitus, and then a slow loss of vision in the eyes. These are the things that really start showing up when you've had osteoporosis of the skull for a while.
All right. And then even slurred speech, impaired speech, the radiating pain from the back, radiating to the feet, the toes, other parts of the body, lots of range of motion, muscle stiffness and spasms,
It
muscle rigidity.
all starts in the brain.
It all starts in the brain. And then you got the neurological associated diseases, Dr. Wallach, that again go back also to the myelin and the
Yep,
cholesterol.
that is correct.
And whenever you've got that osteoporosis of the skull that's squeezing on those nerves, you have mentioned that
And
this,
you have a cholesterol deficiency, you're in deep doo-doo. You're in deep trouble when you have both those issues.
yeah. And then I mean, even lung issues. Tell us, how are lung issues associated with osteoporosis of the skull, Dr. Wallach?
Well, most people don't realize this, but the 10th cranial nerve sends um, um, information to the lungs. Also, the lungs has a lot of cartilage in it. What? Yeah, the cartilage rings in the trachea and the bronchi and the smaller bronchi in the lungs keep the lungs from just becoming a flat thing. That way, they're able to get air going in and out properly and so forth. And it was the good Lord's genius is to put this cartilage into the lungs so that the lungs didn't just form a pancake.
And then gastroparesis, how how is that associated with osteoporosis of the skull? Isn't that a digestive issue or something going on with the colon
Yes.
or
Yeah,
the intestines?
gastroparesis is digestion. Okay. Well, again, all the signals to your digestive system come from the brain. Okay. And so when you have things going on in the brain that put pressure on the various cranial nerves, they cover, like I said, about, I don't know, 45, 50 different diseases.
Quite a few, quite a
Yeah.
few. And you had mentioned the 12 cranial nerves. And here we've
Mhm.
got a picture from the book. It's all in your head that shows each of those cranial nerves and what part of the body they go to.
That's correct. It's very complicated, and you can see where and this is a list of the chapters. Okay.
List of the chapters that are in. Oh, and this is page Roman numeral
Six.
number 6.
Yep.
One of your
And
favorite pages.
yep, one of my favorite pages because I want everybody to see this. On the left-hand side is a normal skull. It's a quarter of an inch thick. The top of the skull has been removed, so and the picture is being taken on top of the brain. On the right-hand side, the skull is an inch and a half to 2 inches thick. The skull has been removed. The cap of the skull has been removed, looking down on the brain. You can see where the tunnels that the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and the spinal cord go through have been reduced in inside diameter by 85 to 95%, putting a big squeeze on those nerves in the spinal cord. And this is why you have all these diseases. And doctors are very good about treating the symptoms. Oh, you have a toe that's tingling? We can cut your toe off, or I can give you a painkiller. You can either rub it on the toe or inject it into the toe 3, 4 times a day. Okay. But it's all happening up in the skull. They don't know this. The reason why I put all this together, because when I was doing all these autopsies, I'm seeing all these things coming there, and the doctors never mentioned them in their description of their treatments of the diseases. So I knew they were missing it by a million miles.
Well, they absolutely were, Dr. Wallach, and that's only part of the presentation. So we do have a hand up, Dr. Wallach, and I want to make sure that we can get to this hand before we have to go for the day. So, Cheryl, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, Cheryl. How can we
Hello,
help you?
Cheryl, go ahead and unmute. All right, let's go to the next hand that is up, and AJ, go ahead and unmute. What questions are you bringing into us today?
Question from YouTube, and thank you, Dr. Wallach, for all this amazing body of work and explaining things so even us cavemen can understand. So this is
Thank you so much. You're quite a member of the family. Thank you.
thank you, Doc. Thank you. Um, Adam on YouTube wanted to know if you could discuss fibromyalgia, and I had another quick question if time permits.
Okay, well, fibromyalgia, again, is a kind of a combination of a nerve disease and a muscle disease and connective tissue disease. Okay, and it can be anywhere in the body. Okay, and so when you talk about it in the heart, it can be in the valves of the heart. It can be in the lungs. It can be in the muscles. And so this is where you got to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no brown around oats, no buckwheat, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. And take the 90 essential nutrients because it would be too expensive. It'd be $1 million to do all the testing and this, that, and the other to determine exactly what's going on. So we're going to cover the playing field, so to speak, with what we know is missing. Okay, we don't have to test for everything. This is why doctors like insurance and stuff like that, because they can ask for all these tests and insurance will pay, $50,000 in one day for doing all those tests. Okay, well, we didn't want to go that direction, so that's what we do it differently. But fibromyalgia, again, has to do primarily with musculoskeletal stuff, connective tissue stuff, but it's easily prevented, easily reversed, because it is a nutritional deficiency.
Thank you, Doc. And then Steve has mentioned that his doctor thinks he may have a cancerous swelling in his pituitary gland. There's a chance that it's benign, but he's concerned that it could be cancerous because that's the first diagnosis that he got. And they said that they may have to
Amputate his head?
I mean, get rid of the pituitary gland. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like some surgery is they're looking to do. Is there
Well,
something
here's,
that he can do to try and shrink it?
yeah, what he needs to do is have some pictures taken of his skull. Okay. Okay, because the pituitary gland sits in a little saddle, a bony saddle of the skull. Okay. All the blood vessels get into the skull through bony tunnels. Okay. And all the nerves in the skull that aren't coming in from the outside are going out to the outside through the skull. So the skull is usually the perpetrator of these types of problems. Okay. So they can take pictures without x-rays, okay, and take pictures of the skull and see if he's got osteoporosis of the skull. That's an easy start.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doc.
All right, thank you, AJ. And let's try Cheryl one more time. Cheryl, try unmuting yourself again. So if you're there we go. No. So if you're on your phone, it's not just the unmute that is with the volume of your phone, it's actually in the Zoom room on the menu. So you should have a message that pops up in the middle of your screen asking you to unmute. Oh, it's not working. All right. AJ, did you have another question?
Well, if we couldn't get to Cheryl, Raphael wanted to know on Facebook whether or not he should be adding rebound to his 90 because he works out a lot, and he's wondering if Zeratest and rebound are some things he may need, he should be adding to his 90.
Yes, that's a good question. And the answer is yes, 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 because when we're working with Theo Ratliff, you're out there sweating, playing basketball and weightlifting and training and all that kind of stuff at the professional level. I mean, he was losing 10 pounds a day just in sweat. Okay. And so but he couldn't have the carbonated drinks. And so we came up with the rebound. And so, and of course, for men, Zeratest, for women, Zerafem. And so the ramping up on the male hormones for somebody who's doing athletics is good. Okay, makes them a little more powerful, a little more aggressive. Okay, but also the rebound will give him all the nutrients that are necessary that he's sweating out and keep his energy up there where it belongs without all the negatives of the carbonated drinks and the sugar.
All right. Thank you, AJ. You might as well just stay because I'm going to invite our other co-hosts on the screen with us as we are at the end of today's hour with Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach, thank you again so much for all that you do and taking the time to continue to share your knowledge and wisdom and recommendations with us so we also can have a better health journey, a better outcome, and have longevity and enjoy it.
Well, thank you for the kind words. We're all family. And I can't thank our team enough for sharing this information with the world, because the world needs some help, because the medical system cannot be the final word on health, either in prevention or resolving problems, because they are limited in what they're taught. They're very, very good at trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where they prevail. Okay, all the rest of the stuff we got to step in and help.
And that's why you have created this crusade of people that we are working together, sharing your message and helping others.
Yes,
we are
family. We're family.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. And I just want to do a shout out to AJ, a part of my technical staff, along with Ruth Ellen. They both work very hard and we come on early to get everything working just right. We have Marilyn, who is doing lots of typing and keeping an eye out on the chat and helping answer questions there. And and share again in type the information that's being shared. We have Albert, who's keeping an eye on everything for us too, and letting people in the room and joining us all the way from South Africa. Thank you so much, Albert, for joining us at the middle of your night. We greatly appreciate that. And folks, no matter where you're at, we want to know where you're at. So if you're watching us on one of our live streams, please make sure that you give us a little shout. Let us know where you are joining us from, as we want to know where the message is being heard the most as well. And one shout out that I want to do that I appreciate so greatly, if for those of you who've been following us, you will have noticed that we had some rebranding going on. Well, when I did a request for anybody who had talent that wanted to use that talent to help grow the message, I got an email saying, "Hey, Becca, I want to help." And we have Ivan in New York, who teaches at a university, has his own marketing and design business, and he took the time to help little old Daily with Doc be able to really make a mark that then prepared us to be able to go on to Apple TV and Roku and Fire TV. So Ivan, shout out to you. We love and appreciate you. And all of you that are investing the time in listening and gaining information, share it with somebody else. You didn't hear this information just to go in one ear and out the other. We want to hear where you are calling or joining us from. So Taxachusetts, CD is saying Taxachusetts. So is that like part-time Texas, part-time Massachusetts? I want to be a snowbird. Sounds fantastic. And we've got Denver, Colorado out there as well. And I just love it. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes. Get back with the person that shared this program with you. If you have never spoken to anybody about longevity or Dr. Wallach, nobody referred you or planted that seed, I do have an amazing call team at 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. If you prefer to communicate by email, go to our website. On the website, you'll also find the good foods, bad foods list that Dr. Wallach had mentioned. You'll find products that include the 90 essential nutrients that Dr. Wallach is very instrumental in formulating. He is no longer owner of longevity. He has removed himself from that so that he can promote the information without them saying, well, you're only saying it because you make a buck from the products. Well, he doesn't. He makes his money from the sale of his books. So please make sure that you go to drjwallach.com and start collecting his books. And he also has CDs for those that prefer to listen. Lots of information there. Back to dailywithdoc.com. We have a contact option where you can use that to reach out to us, or simply info@dailywithdoc.com. And if you have questions that you would like to have answered, questions@dailywithdoc.com. So until next time, be healthy, and we'll see you. Bye for now.